My name is Owen Vass, and for 6 years, I have run the sensor board on the Steady Watch, a patrol corvette that, as far as fleet records is concerned, does not exist. I don't mean that as a complaint. The paperwork is real enough. Somewhere in a depot file, there's a decommissioning order with our hull number on it, dated 11 years before I came aboard. What never got filed was the order telling us to stop. So we keep running the loop. A long, slow circuit through a stretch of old corridor space that used to matter. Back, when Earth and the Ithran Compact had a joint deep survey arrangement and needed ships out here to keep the lanes clear, the Compact dissolved into something else a long time ago. The lanes mostly clear themselves now. We run the loop because the loop is what we run. Part of the old arrangement was a shared distress band, Joint Survey Channel 9, the manuals still call it, though nobody on the Compact side has used that name in decades. On our side, the standing order never changed. Anything on Channel 9 gets investigated, full stop, no waiting for confirmation, no waiting for orders. I used to think that order was a relic, like the loop itself. Something nobody had gotten around to retiring. For 6 years, the loop has meant the same handful of waypoints in the same order, and Channel 9 has meant the same automated all-clear pulse every 15 minutes. A single tone with nothing behind it. Like a lighthouse, nobody sails past anymore. I check it at the start of every watch out of habit more than expectation. Some of the newer crew used to ask why we still bothered, and the answer was always some version of, because the order says so, which is not really an answer, just a fact you learn to live inside. At 034 ship time, Channel 9 lit up. It wasn't much. A burst, badly degraded. Maybe 4 seconds of structured signal buried in 6% of noise that shouldn't have been there at all. A side lobe bleed, the kind you get from a transmitter housing that's been knocked around or just worn thin. The computer flagged it before I'd finished my coffee. Ran it twice to be sure, because in 6 years I had never seen that channel carry anything but the automated all-clear pulse it sends itself every quarter hour, talking to no one. I took it to the captain. Captain Pharaoh Aldana has run this ship for longer than I've been alive, and she looked at the readout for about 2 seconds before she said, "Plot it. Best speed." 3 minutes later, we came out of transit into a debris field. It'd been a small convoy. 3 hulls, by the wreckage, none of them large. Mining transports, judging by the cargo racks split open and emptied along their length, the whole doors cut clean with thermal lances, rather than blown. Whoever had hit them had been efficient about it. No scorch patterns from a running fight, no spread of return fire, no debris pattern that said anyone had even tried to maneuver. Cut in, the holds, cut out. The kind of raid that's over before anyone gets a distress call out the front door. Over before most of the crew even. Gestation. On the sensor board it reads the same every time. A field of slow tumbling fragments, each one tagged and ranged and sorted by the computer into neat columns, none of it telling you anything about the people who'd been living inside an hour earlier. I've stopped expecting the board to tell me that part. It never does. Which meant the burst we'd caught hadn't gone out the front door. We found the escape pod on a long, tumbling arc away from the wreck, magnetic launched, no propulsion of its own, just drifting and hoping. 3 survivors inside. 2 were unconscious by the time we got them aboard. The 3rd was awake, strapped upright at the pod's transmitter panel, and didn't stop looking at that panel even after our medic had her sleeve rolled up for the 2nd round of stims. Her name was Vel Itasa, junior cargo officer, she told us later. Though by the time we found her, she was the highest-ranking person left alive from that convoy, and she knew it. "You're Terran," she said, not a question. She was looking past me at the corridor. At the hull markings she could see through the open hatch. "This is a Terran ship. Patrol Corvette Steady Watch," I said. "Picked up your burst on Channel 9. She went very still. I've seen that stillness before. Not shock, not relief. Something more careful than either. The look of someone doing arithmetic they didn't expect to need. "Channel 9 is a compact relay frequency," she said. "It hasn't carried compact traffic in 30 years. I aimed that burst at the deep relay node at Hollow Vein Junction. That's our nearest active comms post, 4 hours out on a good day. I didn't aim anything at you. I didn't know your channel was still." She stopped, started again. I didn't know anyone was still listening to that band. The relay at Hollow Vein, Captain Aldana said from the hatchway. She'd come down to see the survivors herself, which she does for every recovery, and she said it the way she says most things. Flat, unhurried, like she was reading off a maintenance log. When did that go active? It's been active for. Vel stopped again. I watched her recalculate. It went active 8 years ago. Before that, the nearest node was further out. My transmitter's emergency presets are factory default. They were never updated for the new relay location. She looked down at her hands. The presets are for the old node, the one that used to sit on a frequency pair that included channel 9 before the compact reassigned it. So your distress burst, I said, working it through out loud because I needed to hear it as much as she did. Went where the radio thought it should go, not where you thought you'd sent it. The radio is 11 years old, Vel said. Same age as your decommissioning order, probably. She didn't say it as a joke. Nobody on that ship makes jokes about timing anymore, not after a raid. She said it, like a woman, reading a coincidence off a printout and finding it didn't comfort her at all. Captain Aldana didn't see anything for a moment. Then she said, Channel 9's been on our active investigation list since before I had this command. Nobody's ever told us to take it off. She nodded toward the corridor, toward the rest of the ship, the loop, all 11 years of a decommissioning order nobody had ever enforced. Close enough. Vel looked at her like the words didn't add up to anything she could file. We spent 6 hours at the wreck site. There wasn't much as to salvage. The raiders had been thorough. But we recovered what cargo manifests and crew logs we could, whoever Vel's company answered to. And we towed the largest hull section clear of the debris field so it wouldn't foul the lane for the next ship that came through. There won't be a next ship for a long while. But the lane's clear, the way the loop is supposed to keep it. Vel spent most of that time in the mess, working through a status report on a borrowed data slate, occasionally stopping to stare at nothing. Near the end, she asked me, carefully, like she was checking a fact she already half believed, whether the steady watch had been dispatched, whether someone somewhere had sent us. No, I said. We were already out here. We're always already out here. She nodded slowly and went back to her report and didn't ask anything else. We dropped the 3 survivors and the recovered logs at a relief station 2 days later, close enough to Hollow Vein Junction that someone could come collect them properly. Vel shook hands with the captain on the way off, said something formal about gratitude that Aldana waved off with the same flatness she uses for everything, and that was the end of it, as far as the ship's log is concerned. My part of it isn't quite finished. I filed an addendum to the patrol report this evening, the kind of addendum nobody reads, attached to a route nobody officially runs, flagging a frequency pair that, as far as the records show, belongs to a relationship that ended before most of this crew was born. I recommended Channel 9 stay on the active investigation list. I didn't recommend updating the standing order that put us out here in the first place. I figured if 11 years hadn't been long enough for anyone to notice we were still running, it probably wasn't going to start mattering now. Some things keep going because nobody got around to stopping them, and once in a while that turns out to be the only reason anyone's still alive to file a report at all. We're back on the loop now. Channel 9's quiet. It usually is.